Hello, and welcome to the Nights in the Nightmare Let's Play. This is video 43, covering scene 38. Last time, we kicked the asses of some random monsters and then continued on our way. We saw a cutscene in which the jester girl of the Tiamats, Sakido, was dragging the corpse of the king behind her on her way to Princess Alier. She made it very clear, yes, she intends to take that to Alier, and also the fact that many Tiamats were lost obtaining the corpse. Behind her is Algerie, then Yelma, and then finally us, all in pursuit. Of course, we get waylaid once again. This time we run into Peich. Remember, she's the granddaughter of Cardinal Capehorn. She was transformed into a harpy by Zolganark in order to punish Capehorn. So now she's just this feral monster, and she's in our way. So you know what that means. Here we are. This is the summit of the Fallen Tower. So this is at one point probably the highest place in all the land. Anyway, we have some interesting mechanics in this scene. Here is the biggest obstacle right here, the terrain. As you can see, there's a lot of broken up pieces of land, a lot of height disparities. It makes positioning the knights kind of tricky, and it also makes a lot of their attacks not go through. So that's kind of where most of the challenge for this stage comes from. We have a archer on the field, Amalgam. I'm pulling him out and moving him to the empty slot. I don't really plan to use him, but of course I need him on the field if I want to recruit him. And then for the empty slot I just created, I throw in Morozov, one of our permanent wizards. Let's load up some key items as usual. Fabella the Duelist has a silver vase. And Amalgam has the rusted sword here. As usual, that leaves 2 slots for weapons. So I throw on a rod for Morozov. And a sword for Bella. Alright, I think we're situated now. Let's check out Peich. As always, an awesome portrait. One thing I want to point out is her HP, 12,500. That is ridiculously low. Peich is extremely fragile, like unheard of. You'll see really quickly in this stage how fragile she really is. That's offset a little bit just by the crazy terrain. Of course, being a harpy, she has 2 wings, so she can fly around wherever she wants. So she has free reign of the land. We have to work around it.
Engage! It's showtime!
There's the silver vase for Bella. And the backstory is actually that's how Fabella and Algerie became friends when Algerie gave her that vase.
You're gonna get it!
Alright, Amalgam is recruited. Now, Peich has flown off screen. When she lands, she begins kind of preening herself. That's actually a heal, and it's a very potent heal. So I'll have to be sure to interrupt that whenever I can. There, with one blow, we've taken about a third of her life. That's just crazy. She's healing herself again, and I let her get it off this time. And there, she recovered almost all the health she lost. Of course, there's going to be times when I can't get there to interrupt her because there's too much shit on the screen. Like, say, for now. Alright, Morozov lands another blow. She's down to about half health already. Of course, with Peich being the only enemy on the field, it's kind of tough to hit her and get some gems for magic points. So it's easy to get starved for those. There are, of course, 3 eggs on the field too, but they only hold weapons, no key items. And I'm not interested in having them hatch and have monsters on the screen. Okay, that filled up her rage meter. And it looks like another blow would kill her. I don't want to kill her yet. I still have to give her the key item. But let's see her rage move first, if she ever decides to pull it off. No, she's just goofing around. Come on, Peich. Here we go. I actually do find her rage move kind of troublesome. You'll see why in a second. Ouch, those bats hurt bad. They take off, I think it's 13 seconds. And of course she's trying to heal. Fortunately, I was able to interrupt. I take a gamble with Fabella and hit her one last time, and Peich does survive. And there she's able to get off her heal. I was too distracted by those bats to interrupt her. Once again, Morozov lands a blow, and with 1.7 seconds left, there's nothing for me to do. I go ahead and end the round. Alright, let's load up her key item before I forget. There we go. Handkerchief. Amalgam, you can come out. I'm going to throw in Fritz, if I can find him. Fritz, where are you? Fritz is one of our permanent warriors. I don't intend to attack with Fritz, but he's in a good position to farm gems if he needs to. Fabella, you're out. I'm going to throw in Colleen, our other permanent duelist, aside from Hilgard. And Morozov is doing good. I'm going to keep him where he is.
Engage! It's my turn, eh? Your enemy's hurt.
So nothing too intelligible for Peich to say. I have to say, I like this attack that's on the screen now. The feathers look pretty cool if you ask me. So it looks like there is still an ember of Peich in there. You know, for the longest time, I thought that you could only have one knight on hold at once. I don't know where I got that idea, but here both Colleen and Morozov are on hold. It's pretty handy. There I just swung with Fritz, and what the fuck was I thinking? Why would I hit her there and have all those gems pop out when I couldn't get to him with all those feathers on the screen?
Let's have some fall into the abyss.
Alright, she's just got a sliver of health left. And with that blow, her rage meter is filled up again.
Revenge.
And before she gets a chance, we finish her off, put her out of her misery.
We've won.
Here at the inventory screen, I did have a couple things I wanted to take care of. We have a few more knights that are getting a little low on vitality and could stand to improve their chaos or law indices. But, as it were, I kind of have to be in the right mood to transol, and at this point I just wasn't in the mood. So instead I just moved on. And that brings us to the next stage. Looks like it's going to be another encounter with some random monsters. Quite a few objects on the field to smash open and get key items out of. So we'll probably have our work cut out for us next time. As for what just happened, first off, of course, as she dies, Peich turns into a human again. Of course she does, of course. How else could they twist the knife on us? So there she lays, dying, unsure what the hell's going on, confused, in pain. One of the more wretched deaths we've seen, of course. Before we move on with more of the plot, there's something I wanted to touch on. During the fight, Fabella mentioned Aquina and said, "I never thought one's race determined one's worth." I'm glad that she said this because I've been not doing a very good job with the pause talks, and I was afraid this little bit of information was going to get skipped over. Aquina, who was the general of Cardinal Capehorn, we killed her in scene 27, I believe. Turns out she's a huge racist piece of shit. So in addition to being a bad guy working for the Cardinal, she also judges people by their race. Which is kind of too bad because even though she was bad, I really liked her design. I thought she looked really cool. But yes, she is a racist piece of shit, so fuck her. As it turns out, the race of people that she's the worst to are known as the Balmors. The Balmor race. And the backstory is the Balmors are not native to the Glevnir Kingdom. So a long time ago they migrated in, and ever since then I think they've been on the outs, they've been a minority. They're distinguished by their slightly darker complexion compared to the other knights. As it turns out, there's 5 Balmor knights we can recruit in the game, and we've seen most of them already. First is Otto, the Lance Knight. We did recruit him. Hagen the Warrior, we have him in our roster as well. Of course, there's Sarland, victim of probably the most cruel Transsoul we've seen. Next is Heckler the Archer, and I apologize for the shittiness of the quality of these images, by the way. Those 4 all belong to the 12th Order of Knights. Now, I'm going to read from the Tome of Lost Souls about that 12th Order. It's described as a group of mercenaries under the command of the hired Captain Otto, financed by Cardinal Capehorn. This unit patrols the western regions on the borders of the... the Westkin lands, and is charged with monitoring suspicious or riotous activity from the other races. So, these guys are mostly hired guns. They're not especially loyal to the kingdom, but they get a paycheck. And they border the western lands, which, as we know, is the most contested areas of this kingdom. Out of the 5 knights that are this Balmor race, 4 of them are in the same order. That leaves one last knight, Cornella. Cornella is a member of the 2nd Order, which you may remember is Sir Gunther's order, and they are stationed in Fort Gerhard with the duty of protecting the castle. So, I wanted to touch a little bit on Cornella because as I was reading into this, I found something a little interesting to me. So there she is. Most of the knights have a little blurb on Atlas.com. Atlas is the publisher of the game. They didn't develop it, but they published it in North America. And they also host a website that has descriptions of the game, some tactics, a couple videos. But most interesting to me is they have a character section. And most, but not all of the knights have a little blurb there. As it turns out, Cornella does have a blurb. So if you go to Atlas.com, you can read up on her. What it says is, she's a beautiful woman, admired for her sincerity. However, she harbors a deep secret, and many can tell that all is not right with her. Okay, so a little mystery behind her. That's interesting. In addition to the little blurb, because she's featured on the website, she's also given a quote. So, in her own words, she says, "We should never expect too much from life. Just be thankful to be alive." Okay, I mean, yeah, that's fair enough. I can't really disagree with that. That seems like a very telling thing to say, though, doesn't it? Now I'm going to continue further and read from the Tome of Lost Souls. Remember, that is the pre-order bonus book that came with the game. I got mine off of Amazon for, oh man, I can't remember now, I think $7 or $8. Totally worth it. Anyway, the Tome of Lost Souls has additional information on every single knight. So, of course, she has her own entry there as well. So if we look up Cornella in the tome and read up on her, it says, she's soft-spoken but never weak or timid. Cornella secretly harbors a fatal illness that very few people know about. Okay, so that's her secret. She's dying. It goes on to say, a lot of her free time is spent listening to Fritz's stories. Hey, Fritz, we know him. He's one of our permanent warriors. It goes on to say, and she looks up to Freebird with great admiration. Well, shit, he's one of our permanent wizards, so how about that? Small world. Finally, it says, she's the granddaughter of Roberta, and those around here regard her as a sincere and beautiful young woman. Well, holy shit, Roberta, we know that name. There she is. Remember her? I talked about her last time. She was the woman who went to the pharmacist and was told that they could only slow the illness. I made a lot of guesses in that last video about Roberta's story, and I think I got it mostly right, but I missed a key part of it, didn't I? The person dying wasn't Roberta, it was her granddaughter. So, now we have a little bit more of the puzzle. Roberta traveled to the Regniberg capital, talked to the pharmacist on behalf of her granddaughter who was dying. Came back empty-handed, met a traveling salesman who, if you ask me, he sounds like a snake oil salesman like I mentioned, and got some powdered herbs that should hopefully cure her dying granddaughter. Then she's later killed by monsters, and at the time of her death, one of the most important things in the whole world were these powdered herbs that she wanted to get to her granddaughter. What can I say? I like this stuff. I like this world that they've built. If you dig into it, you're rewarded with little tidbits like this. Ultimately meaningless, but what can I say? I think it's cool. Okay, enough indulgence from me. As far as the story is concerned, we saw an angel. Finally, we saw the fucking angel that everyone's been talking about. It's been said over and over again, when the tower collapsed, an angel was spotted before and after it was blown up. So here it is, the angel, saying, attempting to build a tower to Asgard is unforgivable. This is a new character. We've not seen this person before. We are aware of a couple angels in the story, though, aren't we? First off is, of course, Melissa, the fallen angel. We fought her, 4 times now, I think. Kicked her ass every time. The other angel we know of is Maria, who's been called an angel by both Cape Horn and Yelma. She doesn't have any wings, at least not now, but when she's fighting and she overcharges the Ancardia, she temporarily does sprout wings during her super move. However, this angel here is neither Melissa nor Maria, and she goes on to ponder, why do they violate the ancient agreements? Well, I mean, that's the unwritten law, I think, so how would anyone know about it? The next thing she wonders is, what is the arbitrator of this world doing? Well, holy shit. If you remember, the arbitrator's knowledge was sealed by Asgard because they got pissed off. So what the fuck, maybe Asgard should get their shit together. The angel continues, oh, it must be my fault. I lack the strength to teach them. Kind of a weird tangent to go off of, but I mean, okay, fine. Then she senses a power and thinks, I can use that power to purify myself for Asgard's glory. And then flies off. We see her drop a pendant. To be honest, I don't know if this pendant plays into the story or not. It'd be kind of weird to show it fall off and then never be mentioned again, but what do I know? As far as the present day cutscene, here we see in Dark Path Depths, Aldry wandering around and running into Tiamats. The first guy says, we've been worried since we lost contact with you. Yes, Aldry is a spy of the Tiamats, and she was apparently reporting in, but stopped for some reason. She nukes that guy, and then the second guy makes a comment, her eyes, they're empty. So, I don't know what's going on with Aldry, I don't know if Yelma's still controlling her, or what the hell's going on. She vaporizes this dude and carries on. Immediately after, of course, Yelma enters, so Yelma has certainly caught up to Aldry, and it looks as though she's going to let Aldry carve a path to the king's corpse for her. As I mentioned, this was in the Dark Path's depths. When we see the Wisp, we can see that it's in the Dark Path entrance. So we're still behind. We keep getting delayed by these fucking monsters. How come they never attack Yelma or Aldry? What the hell? But, you know what? Fine, whatever. If they want to die like all the rest, they will. It looks as though some things are going to start coming to a head pretty soon. Sakido, Aldry, Yelma, and the Wisp are all in the same location. Sooner or later, the shit's going to hit the fan. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.